Hey gang, welcome to the big board. So what we got here is Crowbar, and it's a playtest version. I'm pretty sure the map is the final artwork, and it is a impressive map at that. I've had the rules for a couple of weeks, and I've been traveling, and I have not really had a chance to dig in too far with this game. It's my second playthrough of the game, and not 100% certain I'm playing it 100% accurately, but I am enjoying it. And it's kind of this is a little bit of a different video for me, because Mark had sent this to me and asked me if I wanted to have a playtest of it while the Kickstarter was going, really with the intention of this being sort of more of a promotional piece, right, as opposed to sort of an independent review with the final rules and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to focus on all the good stuff, and I'm going to let you know if I have found any bad stuff. And the net of it is, in case you don't want to listen to the whole story here, I don't think there are bad things in the game. This game is premised upon, if you go listen to the interview that I did of Herman, who's the designer, it's premised upon the In Magnificent Style system. And one of the challenges I had with that game, I actually never played that game, but I did read the rules, was that there really weren't too many choices to kind of get yourself engaged with the situation. It was more of a, as they call it, a press your luck or push your luck type of system, where you keep rolling and rolling and moving until bad things happen, and then you stop and hopefully you guys don't die, right? So, or retreat, as the case may be. And this is a similar game. The difference here, I think, from how I've played it anyway, is that there are 2 or 3 different elements that open up opportunities for choices for you to be making, which in solitaire games is fairly rare. There's not a lot of, I think, really good solitaire games that give the player the role and let them fulfill the role of whatever they're doing, versus being you're the die roller for the system. And I'll look at classic games, RAF Britain, B-17, Flying Fortress, and the whole slew of all those reprints of all those games, so B-29 Super Fortress and Picaduty and all those. 9 times out of 10 with those games, you are literally reacting to what the die roll is, and you're playing the game, you're rolling the dice for the game. To me, unless you have a very rich imagination and you want to really get stuck into the narrative side of things, which is fine, and I enjoy doing that, there's not a lot for you to choose to do, and there's no application of strategy or tactics or anything like that. Very, very limited anyway. So here, what's different here? Okay, so first of all, the very opening part of the game is you've got to decide where you're going to place your artillery, and while those results are randomized through this the chit application, you can put more than one, right? You can put multiples on these things. You want to try and weaken. Do you want to try and weaken the frontline defenses, or do you want to try and soften up stuff in the background? Do you want to try and there's a couple of different things you can do here, right? You are then going to need to do 2 other respond to and deal with 2 other major factors in this game. The first is you got to find the guns, and historically, the guns, that's probably a little bit better for you, huh? Historically, the guns were off the top right-hand side of the map. They'd already been moved. But Rudder and his rangers did not know that at the time, and so they had to go do their search and destroy mission. And this game allows that to evolve. So that's the first thing. You've got to decide, out of all these question marked tokens here, you've got to decide where are you going to focus your time and effort, and what are you going to do to find these guns. But you've still got to move your dudes up through these columns. Everyone plays in their lane. Each platoon is playing in a lane. You can move across, but it's a little bit tricky. Obviously, it's got this incremental step. Here's Dog Platoon, right? Dog Company, sorry. And each of these platoons has 10 steps, and they're going to get whittled away over time, unless they're able to do some regrouping, get some reinforcements and things like that. So these guys, so there's some choices there. Then you've also got to deal with the counterattacks, which, just like in a lot of solitaire games, they're going to pop up randomly, and it's going to be based on events. Typically, there's a stack of event cards, which really only have, let's see, they're mainly time increments, and there's one or two things that are good for the allies in these cards, but there's not many other things. Most of it is just really bad crap, and this is hard. I did not get very far off the beach the first time. So a little luckier on my die rolls to start with for Rudder's company here. Actually, not Rudder's company, but for it's Bow's company. But Rudder is the overall battalion commander here. So he's on the beach, and we're just about to roll for the grappling options, or you can shoot the grapples from here, which are less effective because that's how they were historically. And so we'll be unloading and all that sort of stuff. And you've got these nifty dice, right? Now, and this is one of the reasons why I was a little bit delayed in getting to this, is that in the draft of the rules I had, the descriptions of the dice were on a play aid, and I didn't get the play aid. So I was looking around for a couple of days, and then did my usual hissy fit and set it aside and sent an email off to Mark and said, what the heck? And that was I was traveling, and so we didn't get to it. But here we are now. So they're different colored dice too, and there are different, each die has different faces on them, and there's different levels of risk, because the results on these things, and that's a bad result of being shaken, the different level of risk on these. And as you can see, this one doesn't have any shaken on it, right? So, but this one has a shaken on it, but you can get further, but you may take losses as well, right? You're gonna roll dice and take losses. So or you could rout. So there's all sorts of there's levels of risk that you can choose to take in terms of you being able to press your luck. So that is kind of cool, and I like the choice here of how much risk do I want to take as I move through each individual platoon and company to see how far I can get these guys within the time constraints, because as you saw, there are these event cards that have time increments on them, and as they progress, as you're running out of time through day 1 and day 2, oh man, you gotta get after it, and then now you're being forced to press your luck. So now you're being forced to use the black die or the red die, as the case may be. So that's pretty nifty. Now that's all well and good, and I think as a game, as a standalone solitaire game, this is probably will end up being a great game. This will be a mounted map. These big, the classic, the now typical, I should say, big sized 1-inch mounted counters. It's a big, impressive package. I don't know that it needs to be this big, but it's cool, right? What is interesting in the stretch goals that I've seen, but have not had a detailed conversation with Herman about, is that there's a co-op play version and an opposed play version. Now, they're in development, so I can't speak to how good or bad they will be and what the gameplay will be like for those. So I wanted to, so I guess there's a cautionary element there for me to say, hey, there are these additional features, but I don't know what they're going to involve, and I don't know how that will impact gameplay historically or for fun value, things like that. But it sure would be cool to, I think, if you've got a co-op and each of you are having a company, Fox Company, Dog, or Easy Company, picking up a company and trying to get them across. So you're cooperating together, but you're also competing with each other. Pretty interesting premise for a solitaire game to be expanded in that way. I don't know that there are a lot of games that have tried that, so that's pretty nifty. There's some other stuff on these tracks and things that are probably not necessarily super relevant to a brief discussion as to whether or not you want to get into the game. I will say, $70 thereabouts. It's probably at the high end for a solitaire game, but huge map, huge counters, mounted map, probably a big box, and if the co-op game and the two-player game are included and good, then I think you're getting a lot of value for money. You're paying for the gorgeous components, you're paying for Herman Luttman's I think very innovative design capabilities, and then obviously everyone's got to make a dollar, right? So if this all comes out well and there's not a lot of errata and not a lot of issues with the rules, and when they're all finished up and polished up, then you got a fantastic package here. So there you have it. Not the be all and end all of commentary on this game, because like I said, played it once, just part of the way through turn 1 here after doing the C movement phase. So we'll be digging into it, but I'm not going to get anything else done before the Kickstarter closes. So I did want to honor the opportunity to have the game early and be able to play with it a little bit, and let you guys know about it so that you can make a little bit more of an informed choice about whether or not you want to get involved with this particular Kickstarter. So obviously the company's got a good track record in terms of delivering. They always deliver their product, so there's that, right? So all right, there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed a quick look at it or a discussion with me about it, and we shall speak to you anon. I'll be posting some more gameplay of this actually over the next week or so, but I'll be traveling for the next couple of weeks. It's going to be fairly intermittent. Cheers.